still struggling. We had a season a couple years ago that didn't go real well, and had some boys that lost interest, and we struggled, and we ended up 0-9. But Coach Harburg's got those guys out working pretty hard this summer. Again, we were really young. We probably had, I think, 4 freshmen and 5 sophomores that started varsity last year. Quite honestly, it probably should have been a season that we played only JV, but we didn't feel that was fair to our opponents. So we went ahead and took our lumps, but expecting bigger changes this year. And what am I forgetting? Oh, cross country. Our numbers are down. We do have some good runners, but we just struggle to compete as a team just because we only have the 4 or 5 runners, and they got to go up against some of those schools. Most schools that have 7 or 8 runners, they'll all each and every race out.
Sounds like a lot of programs with a lot of upside then.
Yeah, exactly. And moving on to the winter season, our basketball team won 17 games, which is the most we've won in probably 6 or 8 years last year. That's boys basketball, excuse me. And I think we returned everybody. We returned all 5 starters. Pretty good group of athletes coming back. In our conference, we're expecting to make a run towards the conference title. And another avenue that we're excited about is this is going to be the first year in probably 4, maybe 5 years since pre-COVID. I know that we've been able to field a girls JV team, and for basketball, that is. And it's been one of those deals that's just been a struggle to get the numbers up with some small classes in the high school, and we'll be young, and but at the girls basketball level, but we're going to be improving, and I think we'll surprise some people for the winter seasons.
Mm-hmm. Argenta's got a pretty storied wrestling program, if I'm not mistaken, Mike. Is that the case?
We've had one, and quite honestly, the past couple of years, and COVID had a huge issue with this too. We're not able to get the kids back out to support the program. We've had some interest as individuals, but we've not had the numbers to support an all-around team. And part of our thing with not offering a full-blown program is it's not fair for us to offer, have a Clinton come down here or a Champaign to come over and only maybe 3 or 4 or 5 of the weight class guys or gals, for that matter, get to wrestle a match just because of our low numbers. So what we've done is we've just sent some kids to some tournaments on their own that they're interested, but we've not been able to field a team for the past couple of years. And like I said, we dealt with some small classes that were coming through. COVID kind of put people in a different little mindset when it comes to athletics. I think, quite honestly, some of them got home and were used to doing nothing and just didn't pop back out of it, and we're still dealing with that in the classrooms as well. But, I think hopefully we're able to turn that around. And like I said, we're getting some bigger classes that are coming through, and we'll hopefully have more athletes to choose from.
Sure. How about the spring? How was the spring sports season?
Spring went pretty well. Softball team made it all the way to the regional championship. Played really well. We only lost one senior. We'll miss Ava Armstrong. She missed part of the year with an injury. But she was our lone senior, and so good group of juniors coming back, a few sophomores spread in there. I think we'll make a pretty good run towards the regional title in the 1A next spring. And baseball, again, we're having a numbers issue there, and I had to cancel some JV games just because we didn't have numbers based on some eligibility and some health issues, arm issues or whatnot. But I think we ended up winning double-digit games. Are there a few that we left out there on the field that we should have won? Absolutely. But the boys are trying hard and trying to move forward. So our track programs, it's a fairly new sport for us to be hosting a lot of events here at track just because of the new facilities that I think we'll get into here in a little bit. But we ended up hosting about 4 high school track meets here last year. And things went really well. We got some kids that are interested. Coach Hauser is doing a pretty good job getting some kids that maybe won't typically come out for track, but getting them out, getting them involved in some of the sports. And part of the key at some of those track meets, especially some of the smaller ones when you only got 3 or 4 or 5 teams, is just filling somebody for all the slots and getting some points. And Coach Hauser's done a pretty good job of recruiting those kids to fill some of those events that aren't really fun for some of them, but they do end up giving you points and allowing the team to have success at those spring meets.
Mm-hmm. Is track a kind of a numbers game in a way, Mike?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're limited to be able to enter each athlete into 4 events, and sometimes you got some athletes that are really good that could probably help you out in other events, but then it's maybe they're not so good in one event, but they're good in another one, but they're all right. But you just kind of balance that in order to make sure they don't go over that 4 event limit with the relays and some of the jumping events. So it's definitely a numbers game, and the more athletes you can get out to fill some of those spots and some of those events, it definitely helps the team's performance on those meets.
A lot of like all the other sports, it's kind of a numbers game. Create that competition, create that depth, and those sorts of things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, we had a couple classes that went through here that were pretty small. We had some, the COVID kind of put a damper on participation for a couple of years there. I mean, and we've got some coaches in places now that are trying to build a program, and we got some larger class sizes coming through. So I think we're definitely on the upswing. We still got some room to go, but I do think that we will be surprising some people in some sports and get back into the ways that some of the successes we've had in the past.
Sure. Mike Williams, Athletic Director, Argenta-Oreana Schools, on the phone with us here for this morning. And, Mike, one thing that you kept coming back to a few times there was COVID and the impacts of COVID on, on your sports programs. And, I was kind of thinking about this, talking with one of your peers the other day, in that, this senior group that just graduated, they were kind of the first ones to be impacted by COVID, in that, their freshman year, they most of them didn't even get a spring sports season. Then they come back in the fall, and there's no football. Basketball is on a hiatus, obviously, and then you put onto the fact that you're trying to crunch all these seasons into about a 6-month time frame. What did you see COVID? How did you see COVID impact your athletes and obviously your numbers? You've talked about that a few times, but just more thoughts on the COVID pandemic and its impacts on the athletes and the programs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think, honestly, what we saw here, and this is, like you said, I think it's not unique to Argenta-Oreana here, but, we had those kids that, were questionable and maybe didn't start, but they had role players or role positions on the teams. And then they got home and they said basically we had a year there, like you said, from March until January. We're also 10 months where there was nothing going on. And I think some of them got used to that. I think some of them got used to not having to, we had remote learning. I think some of them got used to not having to study. They got out of those routines. And, a lot of them went through, you see it. One went through some I wouldn't say major depression, but mild depression and some apathy where they just didn't want to do anything. And, you still got your starters out for those sports that particular year. But, when your starters are having to play the overwhelming majority of your minutes and they're not able to get a break, we held in some games, up until the fourth quarter, or late in the second half, and then we're just out of gas. And, they didn't have those supports to come in and give them the break that they needed to allow them to be fresh enough to make a good run and maybe finish off a game. Like I said, and then, we get some numbers issues with some small classes. And, if you get a class of 65 kids and maybe, so you're just saying 32, 33 boys, and you lose 3 or 4 out of a couple classes on your football team, it doesn't take long till you really have a major impact on your overall success of your program.
Mm-hmm. How are you able to, support your coaches and help set them up for success going forward? What types of things are maybe going on in Argenta schools right now that you can, try to rally the students to these sports and get them interested? What have you been doing to try to do those things?
A couple of things that have seemed to be working here lately is Clay Harburg. We hired him away from Clinton a couple of years ago for basketball. And then we've hired him now. This will be his second year moving forward with football. So actually having somebody in here that has a relationship with the kids, that's in the building every day, able to see them, able to stay on their case, whether it be grade-wise, whether it be coming out for sports, has really helped. And I think, one of the other issues that we had a couple of years ago with some of those programs is some of those coaches weren't on staff. So trying to establish those relationships to get those kids out was a struggle. So I think that's a step we've made in the right direction. Obviously, I think we'll talk about facilities here in a bit, but our facilities are top notch, and we've made a dramatic improvement on all of those facilities. So I think kids want to be a part of it, more so than for that. And I think the younger ones are starting to see some success. So now they're even more eager to work hard and get to that next level, knowing that they're the ones that should be leading rather than being the contributors.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Mike, how do folks follow along with the athletics going on within Argenta-Oreana schools? Do you have, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, website, where do you direct folks that want to know more?
All those above. We use AOHS Athletics on Twitter, and you can also look that up on Facebook. Twitter's probably the quickest and easiest way to find all of the schedules. We post on there and daily schedule changes, which seems to be every day during the spring baseball and softball season. And there's also all the schedules available on the school's website as well.
Very good. Mike Williams, athletic director, Argenta-Oreana Schools, on the phone with us for this morning. A break here. More to come with Mike on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
B.org. Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn slightly higher, beans mixed, and wheat steady. July corn 644.5 up 4 1/4. September corn up 3/4, 594 3/4. December new crop 598 3/4 up 1 1/4. July beans 1473.5 up 7. August beans up 2, 1409.5. November new crop 1337 1/4 down a nickel. July wheat 688 3/4 up 3/4. September wheat unchanged 701.5. July bean meal 416.50 up a dime. July bean oil 59.50 down 19 cents. Livestock market August feeders 233.60 down $1.32. June live cattle 178.05 down 30 cents. July lean hogs 94.35 up $1.50. In the energy market at this hour, July crude oil future 70.08 down $1.70. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
Do you know what to do when a car is pulled over on the side of the road?
Get over!
First, reduce your speed. Second, change lanes if possible. Third, proceed with caution. These 3 simple steps can be the difference between life and death.
What if it's you that's on the side of the road? Do you want everybody to move over for you?
Do the right thing. Slow down, move over, and drive like your life and their life depends on it.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Mike Williams, athletic director, Argenta-Oreana Schools, on the phone with us here for this morning. And, Mike, you touched on a couple of things there in that first segment, and you kept coming back to it, improvements within your facilities. And you thought that had a lot to do with perhaps maybe the resurgence of interest in some of your programs. What are the highlights of some of the things you've done with your facilities in the last several years?
Yeah, last 4 or 5 years, we put in an brand new all-weather 8-lane track turf field that's top notch, and it's been very fortunate, to use that for our soccer program that we've started within the past few years. Football is able to use that on a daily basis. And also, one of the things that folks may not think about, but that's the biggest classroom we've got that's out there day in and day out, with all of the high school PE classes, the high school conditioning classes, the middle school PE classes are out there using that every day. So that's been huge. I think the moms probably like it a little bit too. You're not have to dig out grass stains out of the practice pants or the game pants as much as they used to as well. And I know, as far as supervising games and stuff, not having to deal with the dust of the old cinder track, and if it was raining, all the mud that was around has really been a huge improvement. A couple of the other things that we've done by choice, is we've redone the softball field. We built a new building down there that had some storage, some new restrooms, new concession area for them. That's in Oreana, where our grade school is located, and we've redid the backstop, put in some new dugouts. It's got the girls really excited about that. We've reconditioned the field, and then that was 2 years ago. And then this past summer, last fall, we did the same thing as the baseball field. New backstop, new dugouts, new area for concessions and restrooms, and new bullpens. So that's been a huge improvement, and fortunately, we just recently got done hosting the 1A state baseball regional, which was a very good turnout over here. Congratulations, St. Thomas More, that won it, but it was a good tournament to have and show off our facilities. And then probably the biggest one that people might recognize, or I think we talked about a little before, was the new Kimler Gym. And unfortunately, about 3 years ago, we were doing some investigating on a roof issue and noticed it looked like one of the walls on that Kimler Gym was leaning. So we got some engineers out here to take a look at it, and it was one of the walls, one of the main wooden beams. If you remember that old wooden roof, lattice roof was up there in that facility, was really cool, but it was 60 years old, and one of the beams had started to crack. So when that cracked, we had to basically evacuate the gym and play everything in the middle school gym there for a year or two while we tore that one down and rebuilt. But the new gym is it's kind of got a resemblance to the old one with the barrel roof, the same size, but it's got all the modern amenities with new locker rooms, and LED scoreboards, and shot clocks, and we were able to gain quite a bit of stuff off of that new gym that we didn't have in the old gym, just because those wooden bleachers didn't push back. And now the new bleachers are able to retract, so we got more practice space. And we're not, one of the things that contributes to that, we're not having to go late at night or early in the mornings with practice, because we can drop the curtain and use multiple gyms at the same time now.
Did that with that issue you ran into? I mean, normally you'd have to save up money and probably put some money away for years and years to make a project like that work. How did you make that work financially?
Well, that's health, life, safety money. And once the state came in and said, yeah, that this is condemned, basically we're able to finance that through the selling of some health, life, safety bonds. And one of the things with using those is, and I understand why they do it, is you got to build back in the exact same footprint with that. So that was kind of a challenge, trying to get all the necessities in there that we needed and wanted, but still fit in the exact same footprint of that whole building. And the reason they do that is so that a school can't say, hey, my gym's condemned, and then tear it down and build one 3 times as big, because they want a bigger gym. So I understand the rules, but just kind of using that health, life, safety fund sometimes creates a little more trouble or a little more headache when you're trying to rebuild than if you just could build right off the bat the way you wanted.
Now, how about the 1% sales tax in Macon County? That's probably enabled you to do a lot of the other upgrades you've been taking on in the last few years. Mike, briefly speak about that for us.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's all based on your population. But anytime we can get any of that money to come out and out this way and help us with our projects on facilities, but not only with our athletic facilities, but also some upgrades we've done within the buildings, with technology and infrastructure and those type of things. It's been well received, and I feel that we've used the money well out here to get the best bang for our buck on being able to put that into stuff that's seen from the public. So that way, it's not the stuff that's behind the scenes, but stuff that is visible from the public, to know that, that we are spending their funds wisely.
Sure. Well, Mike, just one last time to wrap us up here for this morning. Again, how do folks follow along with all things Argenta-Oreana schools?
Yeah, Argenta-Oreana Athletics is both on Twitter and on Facebook. And then our aoschools.org is also available on the World Wide Web. All your information that you need will be right there.
Very good. Hey, Mike, it's good to talk to you again. Thanks for making time with us.
No problem. I appreciate you reaching out.
Absolutely. Yeah, same to you. Mike Williams, Athletic Director, Argenta-Oreana Schools, on the phone with us here for this morning. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news on the way.
WHOW.